Once you have type layers created in Photoshop and the text ready, you can do a lot of different types of formatting. The best panels to use for formatting are the character and paragraph panels. I'm going to drag these out just so we can see them side by side. So one of the options that we've already learned is how to resize text. But apart from this, we have another very useful option called leading. If I select the text body copy, not the title, I will just highlight that. If I change this value, you will see that the distance between the lines will change. That's what we call leading. Higher it is, the more space you will have between the lines, and you can use Alt or Option up and down arrows as well to adjust it. That way you can really space the text out or keep it closer in case you need to fit more text in a certain area. Just below leading, we have another very important typographic feature called tracking, which can be used to add more space horizontally between text. So that can be also used from the menu, and I can even drag it right and left, and you will see that the text will get more spaced out if I increase this value, or if I reduce it, it will be more crammed and squashed closer to each other. I can also set this back to 0 if I want to reset tracking. And the same way resetting leading, I can choose auto. Now, just like leading, you can also access tracking using a shortcut. That's Alt or Option left and right arrows. So with right arrow, I can spread it out more, or left arrow, I can move them closer to each other. We call it tracking when we apply it to more text altogether, but it's also called kerning in case you do it specifically between certain characters. So if I, for example, select this text here, and I decide that I want to have this all capitals, I could click on this icon here, the double T, double capital T's, which will turn it into all capitals. But then I might feel like I need to adjust some parts of this text. Between Y and everyone, the space is too less. So if I want to increase it, I can use Alt, left and right arrow, while my cursor is in between those two words. So instead of adding 2 spaces, I increase the size of the space there. And I could do the same between each of these words. So I would do the same here as well, increase it slightly, and then between these two words as well, I can increase it slightly. So we adjusted kerning in this case, which means we locally adjusted the horizontal space between characters. Now, of course, I can still have all the text selected and reduce the size if it doesn't fit now within that box that we created. And I could also go through all these other options, but there's no time to cover everything that we can do with type. Instead, I would like to focus on the most important ones, like hyphenation for paragraphs. I have more of the text here, and I can see some hyphens showing up, splitting some words in two. If I want to disable hyphenation, I just have to go to the paragraph panel and turn off hyphenate option. To make paragraphs read even better, we can use first line indent on paragraphs. So I'm just going to drag this to the right, and you will see what happens, that the first lines of each paragraph is going to get pushed into the right. Now, of course, you don't have to apply this on all your paragraphs. So for example, these two bottom paragraphs, I can reset back to 0 point. And you see then the other paragraphs will have the first line indent while these don't. And I actually would like to have a bit more first line indent, so I'm just going to increase this to 40, just to make it even more visible. If I want to right align the author of this article, I could select his name and just click on right align. So these are the alignment options, left, center, right, and you can also justify the text. So if I, for example, select the first 3 paragraphs, I could have them justified instead of just left align. Let's say I want the text in the beginning of each paragraph to be a little bit more dominant. So instead of using the regular version of this font, I would like to use bold. So I just select that version. And instead of black, I would like to pick a color from the image. So I'm going to click on the color option here in the character panel. Or remember, you can also do that from the options bar. And then having the color picker available, I can now click on any color in the image and you see it automatically gets applied on the selected text. I'm actually planning to pick a nice bright green from the image, something like this. And of course I can make it even brighter once I have the hue that I picked from the image. And I can even add this to the swatches in the document. Just so I can access it later. We can even add it to the CC library, but I'm not going to do that now. So I will click OK. So this color is now ready to use for later effects as well. But instead of reapplying the bold option and the color as well, I'm going to save this as a character style. Now you can do that from another panel. If I go to Window, I will find the Character Styles panel, which is going to be empty because by default you don't have styles in your Photoshop documents. But once I have something formatted and I want to save it, I can click on the Create New Style icon here, and now I have Character Style 1 created. If I double click on it, I can see that the settings or formatting that I used is saved, and I can call this one Heading. I'm going to click OK. Now it's saved. So to reapply it, I can select this first sentence, and to apply it, I would have to select Heading and then click on this icon here to clear all overrides. Once I do that, you will see now it updated and it uses the same style. I'm going to do the same thing here. I select that text, click on Heading and clear all overrides. The best thing about using styles is that you can update the style definition and all the instances wherever you used it in your design will update accordingly. So let me show you that. Now that we have these 3 instances, I can make sure I don't have any text selected. Normally what I do is deselect all layers. Then I can double click on the style definition and make some changes there. For example, change it to bold italic. And you will see in the background it automatically updates on all 3 instances. If I don't want to use tracking on this text, I can also remove that, and so on and so forth. So that's a big time saver, saving character styles. And the same way you can save paragraph styles as well, which would offer you again more options, mainly the options that you can add on paragraphs. The good news is that once you create styles, you can even load them from one Photoshop document to another. So let me just show that as well quickly. If I save this document and go to another image where I would like to use the same character style, I could just type something here, but notice that in the panels, we have the same options that we last used. So Photoshop remembers the last used settings. If you want to quickly reset it, just go to the drop down in the character panel and choose Reset Character. The same way you can reset the paragraph options as well. That way it will become the most default version of the font, and I can then start typing. So I'm just going to type in more mountains, and I'm going to increase this with the free transform tool there. Now if I want to quickly apply the same style that we created in the other document, I could just go to the character styles panel and choose load character styles, pick the Photoshop file in which I have it saved. Once I click open, you will see that we get the heading, and if I just click on it, it automatically applies it here. Now the size might be different because it depends on the actual size of the text layer. So I'm just going to resize that, and you see now we have the same formatting on this text as in the previous document. Another useful thing is that if you need to use special characters, you can find them under the type menu, and there is going to be a panel called Glyphs. This was recently added in Creative Cloud as well. It was available only in InDesign, but now we have it here in Photoshop as well. So we can find all the special characters in each font very quickly. And you can even look for special fonts like Wingdings, which would have all those special icons. We could pick, for example, this star here, and double clicking on it would add it to the text. And that is all I wanted to show you about formatting text, but that's not all, of course, what you can do, because Photoshop is all about creative techniques. So apart from the basic formatting and working with text in general, You would expect Photoshop to do some amazing things, and of course it can. And that's exactly what I'm going to show you in the next video. So we will see some creative techniques applied to text.